Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first podcast of INDASOCIAL. My name is Milion, and this is the first episode of these discussions and topics about fashion, industry, innovation, inclusion, and creation. Here is the first guest, and I welcome back Luke. It's a pleasure to have you here. Luke is living currently right now in Netherlands, so we have this different schedules, and either way, we created this cool podcast. Luke, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm very excited and a pleasure to be on the podcast. It's an honor, and yeah, I'm excited to speak about all the topics that you are sharing on your podcast. So yeah, it's a pleasure.
Perfect, Luke. So, uh, tell us about you more. Let's take about this little introduction about yourself, and later we're going to talk about this Jeremy Scott legacy, which is our first topic point to talk about this first episode.
Yeah, I'm a aspiring fashion blogger slash content creator. Yeah, I try to break into the fashion industry as a fashion blogger. I have a YouTube channel where I create fashion shorts. I have a TikTok account where I create fashion content. I'm active on Instagram where I share my point of view. So these are basically the platforms where I'm active right now. And yeah, that's basically what I'm currently up to right now.
Perfect, Luke. Perfect, Luke. So, this is our first episode, and we are going to talk about Jeremy Scott legacy, which is I think it's the father of the pop culture camp fashion trends, and he took away the fashion industry like an upside down, took this disruption thing he did with the fashion industry. So let's talk about him. I don't know if you already know about Moschino brand and how this brand built through the time and how Jeremy Scott entered in the right moment in the right time.
Well, he started in 2013, I guess, at Moschino.
Mm-hmm.
He always had this kind of point of view that he wanted to break the boundaries and really create from his own dreams and aspiration, and that created always a lot of unexpected collections
Mm-hmm.
in my point of view, because he always tried to use some specific logos like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Barbie. So that was really some kind of signature in his designs, and that you always could see back in the runways. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's something what I've known from Jeremy Scott, that he always played with a lot of different colors: pink, purple, red, yellow. So that was really for me what I know from him as a designer. Yeah, his signature.
Yeah, totally. So uh, I think Moschino, it's the first brand I believe that took away the thing of how was connected the fashion with the culture, with the people. I believe that with the first collaboration that they did in, I think it's the 17th, with Liechtenstein, which is one of the fathers of the pop culture, uh, with Andy Warhol and all that creators and genius. And I think that from that point of view, the fashion starts evolving in a more accessible and flexible way, because I don't know if you already knew that fashion before Jeremy Scott. I think the point of here to talk about Jeremy is that he left a huge legacy. Right now, he took the decision to leave Moschino, but the things that he did and the things that he took in the fashion industry, it's one of the most topics to talk about, because he elaborates and he give us, he serve us uh, the fashion in a more flexible, uh, digestible even way, and yeah, like you said, I believe Jeremy fashion legacy was to be more playful with the colors, with the how the culture interact with the fashion,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I believe this is a question. How do you think that he managed to appeal or to connect with the audience? How do you think Jeremy Scott connects with the people throughout his fashion collections and throughout his Moschino um, collaboration?
Well, I think he made designs and clothes that were very relatable to people who loves pop culture.
Hmm.
For example, tracksuits or hoodies that had bigger logos or more colorful hoodies. I see it like that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you are agree that many people it's very relatable with the brands, like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Adidas, and all that kind of brands. So I believe that
He,
Jeremy took this connection with with the consumption uh, culture, and
yeah, for example,
he
with
took it in the fashion world.
yeah, with for example, with Madonna and with Miley Cyrus that he collaborated with. So there were a lot of pop artists that
Mhm.
that he collaborated with, and that also translated into the audience that Moschino or Jeremy Scott tried to attract.
Yeah, yeah, and I think he was the creator of this trend, which is called camp. And how do you see um, that legacy that he creates in the past? I think he was creating camp like 10 years with Moschino, also reinvent himself and the brand. But I think he took away the fashion luxury kind of point of view, like, oh, it's very very unaffordable. I can't pay that. Through a fashion more accessible. More. I believe he democrated the fashion industry. I don't
Yeah, I
know if
think
you. I don't know how you think that. Uh-huh.
yeah, I think he created a more relatable collections. He made the gap closer, so there was not a big.
Yes.
He was filling that gap
Hmm.
between the general audience and Moschino. So and that's why he uses like Madonna, Miley Cyrus. He collaborated with Adidas, which was for people more relatable and yeah, more accessible for people.
Yeah, yeah. He also collaborates with Britney Spears, with Madonna, with Rihanna, ASAP
Yeah.
Rocky, Nicki Minaj. So
Yes.
I believe that one thing that he took in the table, it was that, hey, let's talk about fashion, but in a more funny way, flexible way, and a fashion that people can consume, can buy. I think
Yeah.
that was his legacy about. I think it's more like not like fast fashion, because
No. No.
in the future I think he elaborates or collaborates with H&M, I believe. I don't know how to say
Yeah.
how to
Yeah. He
pronounce
did. Yeah. He
in
did in the
Netherlands.
past.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. He
and
did in the past.
so, but I think it wasn't. I believe that the future of fashion wasn't H&M, like I
No.
think
No.
like the fashion evolves through the times. Like in the 15s, it was a more fashion was talk about the how you rich you were, like how you your position, you were wealthy, you were,
Yeah, well, what I always have seen on the streets is that when I saw someone with a Moschino item or design, then you always see some kind of signature back in the clothes that he created. And I think, like he said in early interviews with Vogue, that he wanted to be fashion is about having fun. And
Yes.
and that's something that he translated to his through his clothes.
Yeah, totally. So he took this fashion world upside down, and he bring into the table a more dialogue or discussion about how the fashion is going to be consumed. So about that, how do you see the future of camp industry, of the camp trend industry that he left in the next 5 years? I don't know. How do you see this legacy that Jeremy Scott left in the Moschino collection? How do you see the next creative director or the creative director that Moschino has to search and put to create these new collections? And how do you see the future of fashion camp? Because he left this camp trend in the fashion world. How
Yeah.
do you think the people it's educated to create themselves their own style? Like
Yeah, I
I
think that it will be very hard to replace Jeremy Scott in general in the first place, because
of course.
he did it for 10 years, and that's a long decade in fashion, especially for a designer. So that will be very hard, and I'm not sure who will replace him. That will be a long road to search for a decent replacement.
Yes.
And I think that those customers are really aware that um, fashion is about fun, and it's about being funny, and create a little bit of noise sometimes,
Yes.
and that is something that you could see in his designs, what I earlier mentioned, that you could see that back, and now it's time that customers see that as a way of expression.
Yeah, and his collections, no? I think he left also a legacy in his fashion collections. I mean, we can talk about his fashion collections, but I think there's a lot of podcasts and a lot of people who talk about the five first collections of Jeremy Scott, and we're not that podcast.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about more like how he thinks and how he impacts the fashion industry rather than how trending was the collection of the pandemics. Because I don't know if you remember how 2020 hits the people throughout the pandemics, the COVID-19, and in the fashion industry, I think the fashion events were canceled, and a lot of designers were struggle in how to present the collections. I think there were two, or I remember that there were two or three brands that they think they create this new trending thing to present to the people on Instagram, on TikTok, and other platforms, digital platforms such as YouTube also. And I remember this collection of Jeremy Scott. I don't know if you remember that. It was in
Well, I
2020.
actually, honestly, I didn't remember that. Only know that a lot of fashion shows were digital, and
Mhm.
that was very hard, and also very pity, and that's what I remember from the fashion shows during the pandemic. And fashion is a physical experience, a physical product, so a digital fashion show is not the same, and a lot of
Yeah.
people will agree with me.
Yeah, I know, totally. But I think I think that I want to put on the table that he creates this fashion show with the puppets. Uh, I don't know if you remember that. He took away these fashion industry icons such as Anne Wintour, and he creates this puppet from her.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And I don't know if you remember that fashion show.
yeah. There are some thoughts that coming into my mind about that, but and not specifically have seen the show directly at that time.
Yeah, and he promotes on YouTube, and he recreates the collections, the size, the human size collection to through the puppet collection, which is more like a 1 meter. I don't know, and they were beautiful. There was a very beautiful
Oh yeah,
collection
it sounds amazing. Yeah, it sounds
present.
amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, and from that point, I think to express yourself throughout these digital platforms such as YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, like we knew each other throughout digital platforms. So
Yeah, yeah.
how do you see his legacy after he left Moschino? So I believe he's already collaborate with another industry brands, which is not appeal with the fashion industry. It's more like 4 days ago, I think I saw a post in on Instagram that talks about Jeremy Scott and his collaboration with this brand. I think it's an automotive
Yeah, yeah.
brand. I don't know. Yeah.
Hyundai. I thought
Yes.
Hyundai in Seoul, so
Yes.
in Asia. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, how do you see his legacy after he left Moschino is going to be like? Do you think he left this education, this school that people like us and people more young like us is going to see and learn from it and see and say, hey, this is the Jeremy Scott legacy and this is my Adidas shoe with the, I don't know if
With
you
the wings.
remember, with the wings. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. That was a very iconic shoe and very iconic moment for Jeremy Scott and for the brand. And yeah, think it all will depend on which designer they're gonna appoint. So that's is really a key thing for Moschino. Yeah, it will all depend on which designer they're gonna hire for that role.
no, I see. But how do you see the young people? Like the young people, it's going to learn about legacy, about Jeremy Scott legacy. Do you think that?
Yeah, I think yeah, of course, I think that a lot of consumers and people can learn to learn from his legacy to have dreams to have fun in life and that yeah, he mentioned in Vogue in the interview that he said that happiness is the ultimate luxury, and I think I can agree with that happiness is the ultimate success. And yeah, I think that is something he left at Moschino.
Yeah, totally. So I think this is going to be the last question because I don't know if we have much time on this, but if you were or if you work as a as a Moschino creator fashion director, it's more like a question, an open question.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
how do you apply right now for the future generations, and how do you connect? How will you connect with the future generations if you were the creative director of Moschino?
I will showcase collections through still on a physical runway, but with a lot of yeah, a lot of prints. I think that I will put into the collection and try to bring on a conversation between pop culture nowadays and the Gen Z generation,
Yes.
and that I would also add a digital live show through TikTok because I think that is something where Gen Z is hanging out right now.
Okay. Okay. Good question. Good answer. Thank you so much, Luke, for this little space to talk about fashion, discussions, topics. And this was the first episode of the fashion talks of In the Social. It was a pleasure. My name is Mi Leon. Luke, how do you left these conversations and how your conclusion about these little topics and conversations about Jeremy Scott legacy can bring a better fashion wear future? Like, how is your conclusion for this
Okay, yeah, I
podcast?
think that it was a pleasure to be here and to be on the podcast. So I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, I think that what I mentioned before, that people can think about themselves and their lives, and how they want to act in society. And I think that Jeremy Scott has a very nice point of view about that, and he translated that into his designs. That sometimes you can be bold, sometimes, and that you can be yourself, and that you can, yeah, create your own fantasy and live by your own standards.
Yeah, just break your own standards also, right?
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect, Luke. Well, thank you so much, and we see you in the next episode. Have fun, everyone. This was the first episode of In the Social. Bye bye.